Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, and this is Shannon Ansley. Shannon Ansley lives in Pocatello, Idaho. So welcome from Idaho down to the Gulf, where the J.R. Simplot Don Plant Phosphogypsum stack is located. She is a member of Portneuf Resource Council and has over 30 years of experience as an environmental hydrogeologist. So take it away, Shannon.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Can everyone hear me? All right. Portneuf Resource Council. Just to give you an idea of where Pocatello is, I believe I'm the only one west of the Mississippi, perhaps today, but we're located about midway between Salt Lake City, Utah, and Yellowstone National Park. Our phosphogypsum stack here just outside of this towns of Pocatello and Chubbuck have the Gypstack is operated and owned by the J.R. Simplot Company, Don Plant, since 1944. And the next few slides, I think Rachel is going to progress those. So this is what I see on my way to work every morning. I live about 4.5 miles away from the Gypstack, but what you're seeing is the Don Plant, Simplot Don Plant. There are, as you can see, homes located there. The nearest residence to the Gypstack here is about 1/2 mile, but within a 1 to 2 mile radius, there are a significant number of developments that are happening, residential developments, and the local planning and zoning, county and city, do not warn and let residents know what they're living next to. The next slide, please. This is just some photos of our Gypstack. It's difficult to get a sense of scale here, but this stack is currently about 463 feet high, and it is built up alongside the face of a mountain range. You can kind of see the mountains in the background. In the next slide. Just another image of from the interstate toward the Gypstack and the factory, and we can go to the next slide. So in Idaho is located in a high mountain desert area, and our precipitation rates range between 10 and 15 inches of precipitation a year. So we're pretty dry out here, and we're also quite windy. And some days, many days in the summers especially, this is what we see. You're looking at the Gypstack right there, and a lot of dust blowing in from the desert, but also wind that picks up dust from the Gypstack and blows it onto the nearby residential areas. In the next slide. This map view gives you a little bit of a, just to kind of locate yourself. As you can see, the Don Plant in the middle there. It is part of the Eastern Mashad Flats Superfund site that spans across the Fort Hall Indian Reservation boundary, the yellow line between the towns of Chubbuck and Pocatello. The blue line is the Portneuf River. The river runs from the southeast toward the northwest to the Fort Hall Bottoms area, but you can also see that it runs immediately adjacent to the Don Plant Gypstack. And let's see the next slide. As I mentioned earlier, the current height of the Gypstack is about 463 feet. It occupies about 532 acres, but because Simplot, the Don Plant, is an operating facility within a Superfund site. There is a planned expansion. They hope to be able to make the stack over 500 feet high and increase the area from 532 to about 1,300 acres approximately. So the next slide. This is just got a couple of photos from Google Earth of just historical photos earlier in the Gypstack that currently, well, let's go to the next slide. What they're doing now, the contamination here is a lot. There's a lot of groundwater contamination and surface water contamination from our Gypstack. The current operations are they're laying down a high density polyethylene liner and putting all of their processed water and their phosphogypsum waste in these lined cells, hoping that evapotranspiration will take place and that no more processed water will infiltrate through the pile. In this lower left-hand corner of this picture, you can see a small section of the Portneuf River, and you can see how close it is to the Gypstack. And the next slide. Next slide, if possible. This is just a summary of the Eastern Mashal Flat Superfund site, designated in 1990. There are just to the west of the Simplot facility is the FMC facility, which is no longer operational, but there's a lot of residual waste that was left in place when FMC left. The impacts to air, soil, surface water, and groundwater affect the Fort Hall Reservation, the residents there, and the citizens of Chubbuck and Pocatello. And the next slide, please. Thank you. The current situation is Simplot is running out of room for their phosphogypsum waste. So they approached BLM and asked for a land swap to get more federal land given to Simplot so that they can make their phosphogypsum waste pile larger. And at present, they have gotten permission to do that. The expansion area is the red hatchered area, and you can see that the waste will be closer to the Portneuf River and also closer to the citizens of Pocatello and Chubbuck. And my last two slides are just, there's the phosphate industry here is heavily married to the state government of Idaho, and many decisions are made in favor of Simplot. And the next slide is just some additional reading if anyone's interested. So, and that's my presentation.